And sort of 2 years ago I did an internship with them, which I completed, and that's the first thing I'd ever done with my life. Like good, literally. The first thing I ever completed in my whole life. And it's all down to God, because that was so testing for me. And after I did the internship, my church received enough money to employ a youth worker for a year. And they split that money in half, gave half of it to a friend to work in schools. And because I'd just finished my internship, they offered the other half to me and said, what do you want to do with it? So I went, work in prisons. So that's what I did. So then for sort of a year and a half, I set up a prisons ministry where I worked with young lads as they were leaving prison, coming back to Portsmouth and Southampton, helping them to reintegrate into society. And then we ran out of funding. So for about 6 months, and this is the beginning of the year now, so for about 6 months I didn't have a job and I was working packing boxes, and I was so bored. I booked a flight to go to Brazil for 2 months to travel around by myself and do some missionary stuff out there, which was a bit nuts because I didn't really even know the language, but it had always been on my heart and I was so bored, so I went and did it. And literally after I'd booked the flight, the Ashfield prison phoned me and offered me a new job. And it was just, for me, in the middle of a credit crunch, just to have someone phone you up and offer you a job. Again, I know that was just a touch of God. I know it's just God coming through for me and giving me everything that He wants for me. And I went out to Brazil, I spent 2 months out there, and that was an amazing time. I saw God do things that I've never seen Him do in this country. We travelled the Amazon living on a boat for 6 weeks, and we just go into villages and we'd preach and we'd teach about Jesus and about the cross, and we saw hundreds of people get saved. People just would get healed, just as we prayed for them. We'd offer them prayer, and bang, they would get healed. I mean, there was sort of 30 people that got healed. And every step of the way, God was just there. God was there. We did it with teams from America would come out and do it with us. And some of the healings that happened in their lives as well was just so amazing. And now I'm back, and now I'm working in the prison system, and I'm absolutely loving it. And I mean, like, that's just how much God's just changed my heart and changed my life. Like, I can stand here now and look at every one of you, and I don't know any of you, hardly any of you, but I know for a fact that I have a genuine love for every single one of you. And I never had that before. And it's only because of what God's done in my heart. It's only because of the work that God's done in my heart, of His changing power in my heart. That's all it is. And that's why I go back into the prisons, is because my heart's so full of love that I want to go in there and I want to take that message. I want to take Christ's love and I want to show every single one of them it. And let them see that, yes, there are people out there that love Him. Yes, God does love them, and yes, He is real. And that's what my heart is, and that's what my entire life is about. And I mean, like, I'm only just finding out how much it's hurting my family. Like, I think it was 2 days ago I sat down with my sister and she was telling me about the stuff that really affected her, like me going off the rails and so on, and it drove her to live her life twice as hard as she would have done, because she was like, well, if he's going to waste his life, I'm going to live 2 lives for him and not waste mine. And God is such a God of reconciliation. My parents threw me out twice, but now I live with them and I have such a strong relationship with them. And I mean, the stuff that God's done in my life is amazing. I'd love to be able to say that some of it was me, but it's just not. If it was me, if I'd done stuff in my own strength, I'd still be sat in Reading prison. Well, I would have made it to Winchester by now, because I'm 23, not 21. But, like, God is just so amazing. And I mean, all through that time when I was going off the rails, my mum and my dad, they never stopped praying for me. Never once. And you can see the power of prayer. I was sat in a segregation unit, nobody, absolutely nobody, and God revealed Himself to me. And I personally blame that all on my mum, because she was praying for me and she never stopped praying for me. And like, I don't know, if anything, just don't disregard prayer. Just keep praying for the people that you know. So yeah.